All right, guys, as some of you already know, and some of you who don't, my name is William Echevarria. I'm an educator, an investor, and I'm a visionary. And today, what I want to go ahead and show you is some of the things that I apply into my investment portfolio, and it should be pretty clear.
We lost your audio. Does anyone hear?
No, we can't
No,
see
he
him.
froze.
Yeah, you're frozen.
Okay. Oh, you're back. You're back.
Awesome. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. So let me go ahead and share my screen with you. I have a couple of things that I want to share with you today that are very important, and they are 7 tips essentially on why real estate investing is very important and very lucrative. Okay, and if you guys know that there's a statistic out there that over 90% of the millionaires in the US are basically built from real estate investing. Okay, so there's obviously something there that appeals to the masses, and I want to go ahead and show you what that is today. All right, let me know when you guys can actually see my screen.
Yeah, we can see it.
Awesome. All right, is that big enough for everybody to watch?
Yes. Good morning, everyone.
All right, guys. So as you saw earlier in the program a couple of weeks ago, I broke down the ROIs that you want to start looking into when you're investing. Okay, and I broke it down into single-digit ROIs. Okay, that's when you're talking about the life insurance vehicles and anything of that nature. Okay, the double-digit ROIs, which now I want to go ahead and implement the real estate side of things. The triple, quadruple, and quintuple ROIs, we'll talk about that later on in the upcoming weeks. But for right now, I want to focus on the real estate investment and the benefits of it. Okay, so right now, the 7 benefits of real estate that I want to go ahead and showcase to you guys, this is just an overview of what we're going to be talking about. Okay, on the highlight, we're going to talk about appreciation, which most of you already know with the market, especially being into the real estate arena. The cash flow that you've probably heard many influencers online explain, you know, from the Robert Kiyosaki's to the Grant Cardones to whatever TikToker is online, you're basically knowing what cash flow is now. Also, I want to explain the concept of leverage control, the tax benefits to it, because as you remember from last week, one of the benefits of investing is you want to see if it's actually liquid. Is it safe? Does it have any kind of tax advantages? And the ROI on it. Okay, as you can see with this one, there's some tax benefits. Also, with the current state of the economy right now, you know that we're in a recession despite, you know, what Biden wants to label it or whatever his definition of it right now. But basically, we're going to go into a recession. All right, so we're going to talk about that, the passive investment component of it. And then lastly, when we wrap it all together, what's the combined interest? Okay. All right, guys. So for the first topic, we're going to talk about appreciation. Really high level. You guys know what that is. All right. So for this example, if we buy a $200,000 home, and the reason I'm choosing this number 200, you'll see later on in the presentation, is because I'm targeting the median average of the home or below. Okay. You know how everything's appreciating right now, so it's going to be difficult to find $200,000 homes. But for this example, let's just play around with this. Okay. So if the home appreciates at 5% a year, you know, that's equivalent to a $10,000 gain, okay, year over year. And with compounding interest or with simple interest, at the end of 5 years, that equals out to $250,000 of that asset, okay? Now imagine if you have 20 of these doors of the same value, in 5 years, your whole net worth is going to accumulate to 1 million. So if you see the popular conversations that are out there where people are like, you got to get into multifamily, you got to get more doors, you got to get more, you know, renters. This is essentially the concept that they're talking about. Okay, you start off like that, you build wealth. So in this aspect right here, we're not worrying about the cash flow right now. All we're worrying about is the wealth appreciation. Okay? You guys following me so far? Drop a 1 if this is making some sense to you in the chat. All right, so next, the second concept, there you go. Thank you, Kathy. So the second concept right here is going to be the cash flow, okay? The cash flow here, this is where you start building some of that passive income that can pay for the asset itself and then some. Okay, in my personal experience right now, I have an investment property out in Virginia, and it's netting me maybe somewhere around $400 to $500 a month, which is not game-changing money. Okay, that's not life-altering. That's not going to basically make me quit my 9 to 5, but it's a start. Okay, now in the concept of cash flow, if you buy the home, let's say, and you're renting it for $1,500, and then your mortgage, your principal, interest, taxes, and whatnot, whatever the other one is, I forget. It's $1,100 a month. So that means you're going to be generating $400 a month cash flow, assuming that the asset doesn't have any other issues. So this is the best case scenario, right? You don't have a plumbing issue, you don't have a siding, a light bulb, a toilet that needs to be fixed. Okay, this happens quite a lot. So for me, when I got my first investment property, all the money that I was making, that I was banking, that extra $400, I left it in an account and I never touched it. Reason being, I was expecting, those big ticket items that have to be fixed. The HVAC, a roof, something, a paint job, a hole in the wall, whatever. So I call that a swan account. Sleep well at night. Okay, so instead of me having to have credit or having to have another account so that I can pull money out for this kind of situation, I just left that money growing in there. And then I just set up the automatic payments to pay the mortgage on the property. So that account now is on autopilot, and I'm acting as my own property manager on that. So as you can see, it's not a significant amount of money, but it's enough to get started. Now, the name of the game here is volume. When you end up having 5, 10, 20 houses that do that, now you start seeing that this is game-changing money. Now you can really quit your 9 to 5, right? Now you can actually breathe a little bit better because, in sales, you're either in a feast or famine kind of situation. Okay, either you're really, really crushing it, you have too many leads, you don't know how to basically address them all, you're making a lot of money, or you have those lulls, in the market where things are really slow. Well, the good thing about this is when the market is kind of slow and you're in the lull, at least you have this passive income that's consistently coming in. So this lets you sleep well at night. So this is one of the major reasons why people love real estate investing. Is that making sense to you guys? Are you resonating with this message? Awesome. So just so you know, I'm going to ask you some more questions along this. I just want to make sure that this message is hitting home. If there's something you guys need me to, reiterate, go a little bit further, definitely drop the question in there so that I can go ahead and address it or, slow it down or maybe even give you some more personal experiences through that. All right, so let's move on to the third one. Now, this one is about being creative with that. You guys have heard always about OPM, okay, other people's money, all right? And this is where a lot of wealthy people understand how to use other people's money to gain their wealth, okay? So, and the idea here with leveraging control, say that you want to buy your investment home, and you know that because it's not your primary residence, it's your investment home, more than likely you're going to have to put 20% down. All right, so that equals out to a $40,000 down payment. Now, if the house increases 10% in value, like it has in the last couple of years because of this crazy market, it's going to be worth $220,000. So if you look at this example, that's a $20,000 increase that you just made from a $40,000 investment. Okay, that's 50% ROI, literally in 1 year. Okay, and that's not talking about all the other advantages that investing in real estate has. That's just one money market center right there. All right. So with the ROI that you get from being able to do that, now you understand the volume that you can do. You velocitize this, you multiply this, and now you start seeing how you can double and triple and quadruple your wealth very, very quickly. And for you guys, this is even better. Okay, that's 20% down payment of $40,000. But since most of you that are online right now are agents, you can actually put your commission towards this as well. So you're already being able to get into this game at a discount, right? So you use your commission, you throw it in there, and now you don't even have to put the full 40 in there. whatever the price of the house is, you pay less. Think about that. You grab a nice baller commission, you basically throw it to this. You have your first investment opportunity like this. You basically just came out of pocket a whole lot less, and you have that much of an ROI already in one asset. That's insane. I don't know about you guys, but this makes me excited. You know, I'm not a realtor, my wife is, and we've leveraged her to be able to do this. And we're going to keep on doing this year over year until we keep on building more and more homes. How's that sound to you guys so far? Is that good? Is that fire so far, the information you're getting?
That's a game changer.
See? Awesome. All right, so here's number 4, the tax benefits, okay, of investing in real estate. All right, as you saw earlier on in our program, okay, depending on what stage of the game you're in, when you're new to investing, what you want to do is build, wealth. Okay, when you've been wanting to receive your time back, you want to get into some cash flowing opportunities. And then lastly, when you're making too much money that you don't want Uncle Sam to go into your pocket, you basically need to find tax shelters. Okay, the cool thing about investing in real estate, it basically appeals to all 3 of those. Okay, so right now with a tax benefit, say that in the same example that we had, let's say at the end of the year, you're making $5,000 a year cash flow. Okay, and remember, this is best case scenario. That's not assuming anything breaks. And if you had tenants, you know that they mistreat your property, you know, even though you have somebody good, but it's just the normal wear and tear. And what happens when you have a family and little kids and whatnot, something's bound to come out of that $5,000. But for the sake of this argument, let's just say that's what you make. All right. You write off 220 over 27.5 years. Okay. If you've been in investing, you know that number means something. Your CPA, your tax accountant, they know this. Okay. That's how you can depreciate the asset. Okay. So that comes to $8,000 a year because you get the value of your home. You divide that by 27.5. That equals $8,000 that you can depreciate. Now, here's the kicker. That $8,000 is a write-off, which cancels all the money that you essentially made that goes into that sleep well at night account. So that leaves you with a $3,000 depreciation write-off left to lower your other income. So all the commissions that you guys are making, any other side hustles, whatever your primary hustle is, you can still write off now an additional $3,000. So think about that for a second. You got the asset at a discount because you're a realtor. That asset's appreciating based off the market. And for the last couple of years, it's been 4.5%, 5% roughly, except for, 2020 and what ended up happening post-pandemic, right? You're having somebody else pay your principal down. And on top of that, now you made some money to put it into your sleep well at night account. And basically you can write off $3,000 and pay less taxes to Uncle Sam. So this opportunity definitely has tax advantages to that. All right. Now, here's a good one that a lot of people kind of don't think, and I kind of want to give you a different perspective, a different angle on it, and it's the market resiliency. Okay, a lot of people end up buying into the hype of we got to buy a condo, we got to get into the Airbnb game, we got to get into multifamily, into hotels, into apartment buildings, this, that, and the other, and that's all fine and dandy if you have the money, the leverage, partnerships, all those relationships, right? But when you're starting off, you have limited resources. And with those limited resources, you got to try to apply this as best as possible with the most amount of leverage and as safe as possible as well. So this is where market resiliency comes across. Okay, you can earn ROI no matter what the market does. Okay, if the market goes up, the market goes a little sideways, and if the market goes down, the idea here is during a recession, like we are presently, the most expensive homes that are on the market have the largest margin to be able to lose, right? So let's say you have $1 million home, just for the sake of argument, and the market drops, let's say 3-4% or something like that. That house now takes about a 3 or 4% dip, right, in its value. So that the needle moves quite a bit on a $1,000 home. All right, but if you bought a $200,000 home and the market still drops 4%, that needle barely even moves. It's not even really like a bump that you feel, right? So that's the idea, is that when you have a more affordable house, you can actually take that risk, or you can take that dump. When did you take a picture of me? What, that's your house right there? Oh, you're talking about on the next screen. Okay, I got you. All right. So yes. So right there, where were we? So it's about the property, right? So you get the property, you basically get something that's at the median or below the median. If you can snag one of those properties that you don't have to put too much money into it to be able to turn it over for a profit, you guys are standing good. Okay, you're really resilient to the market. The market can do whatever it wants to, and you're still benefiting from all those other steps, right? The tax advantages, you still have the cash flow, you still have your principal pay down, you still have the the equity will be the one that gets affected, right? But you can just hold it off because you're still making money. You still have that asset, and you can still do the tax write-off. So as you can see, having a resilient property is still money. Is that making sense to you guys? Are you like picking up what I'm putting down right now? I'm like, put some fire in there, give me applause or give me a high five or something. I just want to make sure that you guys are seeing basically the leverage of this. All right, that's what I'm talking about, Carlos. He gets it.
Yeah, I think everyone's, there is process to be taken as well. Like it's not a traditional way of thinking sometimes, so it's kind of like, whoa, okay.
Yeah, definitely. And it's interesting because when you follow mainstream media, they don't explain this kind of stuff like this, right? They don't break it down to, the simple aspect of it. They try to talk at a high level. They try to tell you that, hey, you got to reach a professional, and the professional is going to walk you through all this stuff. And I'm like, that's all fine and dandy, but the better part of this is when you are educated. When you are educated the best way possible, okay, you're best informed to make great decisions. Okay, and especially when it comes to money, I think the best person who can manage your money is always going to be you, right? So what you need is the right set of information. Okay, do your due diligence, research, get your warm and fuzzy, and once you do that, now you're confident. You can stand behind your decision and you're not second guessing yourself, right? But you have to learn what's actually important. So that's the point of these classes, is to try to cut off all the fluff. Okay, instead of actually telling you like, yo, go read Investopedia, go read this other book by so-and-so, go read, something from, what's this guy that doesn't like credit, Dave Ramsey or Robert Kiyosaki, even though those are great authors, but you got to read a lot to try to find that one golden nugget in there, right? I'm just trying to give you liquid gold right now so you guys can actually see it. All right, so next, the passive investment. Like I was just saying, there are many companies out there. There's many individuals who want to sell their service to you, and they want to show you that, hey, we can actually show you how to acquire these double-digit ROIs. We'll go find the properties for you. We'll go ahead and purchase them. We'll rehab them. We'll put people in there, collect, your rents, do all that, and at the end of the day, we'll sell it for you, right? That's complete passive investment. Okay. There is opportunities like that, and that's just like the picture shows right here. It's like, look, mono hands. All you need to do here is provide the fuel. So you're going to have some kind of money. You're going to have that trust with that individual. You have that relationship. You give it to them. You literally let them drive it, and you just sit back and watch the money pile up. That's one way of being able to do passive investment. Or you can take it upon yourself. There are many professionals on this call right now. You guys can actually do property management yourselves. You already know how to do the acquisition, the purchasing. You probably already have an extensive network for rehabbing. You guys more than likely have general contractors, on speed dial, your electricians, your plumbers, so you already have all of that in these existing relationships. Then you just got to figure out your exit strategy. When do you want to sell? And a good rule of thumb is don't sell it just to have it in your bank account so it looks pretty, because it's not going to grow, right? Sell that property when you already are ready to buy the next investment. So when the next opportunity shows up, the multifamily or the apartment building or a business or a merger or an acquisition or what have you, that's when you want to sell the property. Don't just sell it because you think, oh, the market's hot right now. I'm not going to get more money out of this, blah, 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 blah. Like, okay, let's say you cash it. Depending on when you did, you're going to have to pay capital gains taxes on it. So now you just lost the extra money that you thought you made, right? Or you wait a little bit after. You collect that money, okay, it's sitting in your bank account. The consumer price index still keeps coming up. The bank doesn't pay you any kind of interest. Now you're losing money on it that's just sitting there when you could have still been getting more rental, more tax advantages, so on and so forth, right? Or you finally do a 1031 exchange. You find your next property. You go ahead, identify it. You make your contract contingent upon it, so on and so forth. Now you basically moved it over. There's not a taxable event that comes up. Now you're still basically rolling your money into the next investment. That's what a smart investment would do. And you guys all have the skills to do all of that. Every single one of these things you guys can do. So I know that if I had a license, man, I would be building this up consistently. And this is what I'm telling Jeannie to do all the time. I'm like, hey, when you're in there in the MLS, let's look at certain properties. You know, hopefully we have different markets that we can look at. You know, let's look at the numbers. If the numbers make sense and me and Jeannie do our own underwriting, man, we're excited. And we're like, okay, what do we have to do? Who do we have to leverage? How do we use OPM to get into this other property? So once we get enough of these, we're going to be set on autopilot, right? And that's the game plan for us. All right, it's a game plan that's been battle tested and proven. I believe it wholeheartedly. The statistics don't lie. If you guys look it up, over 90% of millionaires basically in the US have done so through real estate. So this is a very, very powerful tool. Okay, it's a very, very powerful investment vehicle, and I love it so much. All right. Then to wrap it up, lastly, okay, it's a combined interest. When you do all of that stuff, the whole 7 steps that we had mentioned, okay, when you do the appreciation, the cash flow, you're leveraging the control, you have your tax benefits, the market resiliency, the passive investment side, you have all of that stuff right there, and your renters paid down. It is a no-brainer why this is such a powerful tool for you guys to invest in. So with that, that's basically what I want to leave you guys today. I don't want to inundate you with too much information, but this right here is golden. This is a great game plan right here. I want to hear what your thoughts are. If there's any experiences out there on investing, what are some ups and downs that you've experienced yourself, or what kind of questions do you have about this at all? So with that, I would like to open up the floor, see what the general sentiment is on that, and let's see if we have a pretty good conversation from that, guys.
Good stuff, William. Thanks for sharing, bro. I can't wait to get my first investment property here.
Definitely, definitely. I'm like, and you're in the right market for that. You know, I'm like,
Yeah.
the time is always now. The way that you guys are saying, it's always a good time right now to get into real estate.
Yeah, I was thinking about you know, selling the house that I'm currently at, and then, you know, when I moved to Fort Myers, just putting down, you know, most of that money back into that house. But thinking about this makes me want to figure out how I can keep this house, use it for cash flow, and then put minimal down in the other on the new property, and just live off of the appreciation, and also the you know, the cash flow. I guess do something with that, you know. I'd be able to make about $1,000 a month in cash flow off of the house.
See, and that's good. I know that a lot of people talk about cap rate, and cap rate is just one part of the puzzle with that. Like me and my
Hmm.
wife, we're literally thinking the same thing with our investment property in Virginia, where we wanted to sell it, but I got such a good interest rate because I refinanced when the interest rates were so low. So
Hmm.
the interest rate that I have on that property is like 2.875. I'm never going to get an investment or an interest rate like that again. Right. So now I'm kind of like, man,
Sure.
do I give up that interest rate just to get the cash, or do I leave it like that, you know, keep on getting the cash flow and then kind of roll it into another opportunity? Because I'm never going to get that interest rate again. And I was like, man, I don't know. So now I'm playing around. I'm struggling with that idea consistently.
Yeah, one thing I've been told with people who have, you know, real estate, they say keep it no matter what. Is
Yep.
hold on to it as long as you possibly can, because in a normal market, you know, you're going to get between 1 to 3% appreciation every year, as long as you're able to, somebody else is paying the mortgage, you know, for you. It's just about, you know, maintaining the juggle, the balance of having, you know, other bills and stuff like that. But if it's cash flowing, I say you should just keep it.
Yeah. Yeah, the way that I have it right now set up, right? So for every property, I have my own bank account set up for them, right? And then I pay the premium automatically from that. So as long as my renter is making their payments on time, that's just going out, right? And then also if the renter is a little bit behind, at least the money is in there already, so I can still keep on paying for it, and I'm not struggling now trying to make ends meet. Like, to tell you the truth, I've never touched into that money unless there's like a dire emergency. That money sits in there, it grows, it does whatever it wants. Well, it doesn't grow. Let me rephrase that, because the bank is not paying me money essentially to have it in there. It grows
Right.
because the renters keep on depositing money into it, right? So when it does that, the renters tell me like, hey, there's a problem with the stove. Cool. I do a home warranty phone call. You know, the individual comes out there, he invoices me, I pay right off of that. Hey, there's a toilet that's leaking. Okay, cool. I make the phone call to the plumber. He invoices it again, sends right money out of that account. So I don't have to worry about that asset at all because it's completely on autopilot. The only problems I would have to worry about would be vandalism, maybe an HOA violation, if anything like that. But the thing also is that I have a Class A property, right? So I don't have, you know, something that's kind of like Section 8. I don't have something kind of middle of the road. So I am lucky a little bit with that one is the fact that I actually have a very good property in a good neighborhood. So I have good tenants as a result of that as well.
And you mentioned you had a home warranty on the house. Is that something you do for all of them?
Yep. Yeah, it just makes
That's
it
pretty
easier
smart.
because it's cheap. Yeah, I'm like, it's
Yeah.
cheap.
You factor it into your monthly expenses. That way you don't have any big surprises when the water heater breaks or the refrigerator dies.
And it's
And the
really
tenant pays, the deductible, you know, if it's something on their control, right? If it's something that they harmed a house, they usually pay the deductible as well, and that's part of the lease agreement.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Smart.
yeah, like
That's
we were
smart.
thinking, we had an opportunity here in Miami when we first moved here. The first house that we had a swimming pool, and that's a big selling point, especially down here. But then thinking about it as an investment vehicle instead of a primary home, now I have to wear a different hat. So now I'm kind of like, okay, if I give an individual a pool, are they going to really take care of it? Are they really going to maintain it the right way? You know, or are they going to let it get all gunky? You know, they're going to try to do their own chemicals and kind of damage the surfacing of the pool. I'm like, that's expensive. And if I wait around and let them neglect it or damage it, it's going to eat up my whole entire profit margin, right? So then on that idea, get a home warranty. You know, we get a home warranty, we add that pool rider on top of that. And now if something like that were to happen, at least I can still retain a good portion of my Swan account. And then I just pay that off and I'm like, we're still in the game. You know, because it just takes one oh shit moment and there goes my whole entire account. Right.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, ooh, now I'm struggling between how am I going to make this payment type of thing, you know?
Mm-hmm. That's smart. I didn't know that you can put a warranty on a pool too.
Yeah, there's writers on everything. You, as long as you're willing to pay for it, they'll put it on there. You know, and then also like if you can't get insured on it for whatever reason, you can also go like Lords of London. You know, you can do something like that, but now you're paying, you know, a premium for that. So
Mm-hmm.
you got to do the numbers. You know, once you do the numbers and it makes sense for you, that's why it's very important to measure everything. You know, like everybody knows me for looking at spreadsheets all day, and I love them because I see things. You know, I can decipher things from looking at it. I can predict. I can kind of like, you know, create some kind of like sense of security because I see the numbers. Otherwise, you're just shooting from the hip and you're just going with a I wish. You know, I'm like, I can't work like that, especially now when you're investing. You can't just hope for the best. You know, you got to be smart about where your money's going. You got to put it out there and you know, you take the risk, but it's got to be calculated.
Absolutely. Good stuff.
Thank you, thank you. Well, you're kind of quiet over there. How you feeling about this?
Hi, everyone. I think
Mhm.
I'm just listening to all of you. I mean, this is amazing, but I just had a quick question. If there's regarding the BA, do you have any suggestion on that? Can you make an investment when you have like a BA loan? How does that work?
That's kind of interesting because I have a VA loan and you have to be a little creative about it, right? The VA in itself, if you look at the program is not going to allow you to buy an investment property.
Correct.
However, there are ways kind of to still leverage it for an investment. Okay, so the
Okay.
way that I did it is one way, and there's another method that I'm going to bring up as well. So the way that I did it, I use a VA as my primary home. I lived in
Mhm.
there for about a year. The home appreciated quite a bit to the point where I didn't have PMI on there anymore. So I
Right.
refinanced my property into a conventional loan. I freed up my VA. I didn't have PMI on it, and now I still have the VA certificate so I can apply it somewhere else and I can move somewhere else. That's
Right.
one way of doing it. Okay. It's a little inconvenient because you do have to move, right? Otherwise, how are you going to leverage it? Now, the second way that's really cool too is if you buy a multifamily unit. You can go ahead and buy yourself a duplex, a quadplex, or anything like that with the VA.
Mhm.
You live in one unit, you can rent out the other two or three. Now
Right.
that's a form of house hacking. You got the individuals basically paying for the whole entire unit, and you use your VA loan on that. That's
Mhm.
another way of being able to do that. So you just have to be a little creative and work within the rules that the VA has, but you just can't use that for an investment property. You can't have like a new condo show up and you're like, yo, I want to buy that, and I don't want to live in it at all. I just want to make it into an Airbnb. You're not going to get approved for that. You know, it's got to be your primary residence for at least 12 months. And then from there, if you want to Airbnb it, that's fine. The point is, you know, on paper, that's your primary residence.
But this is the funny part because this is what's interesting. My husband has a VA loan, right? When we purchased the house, right now we have an equity of 350,000. And I try to either, because we're planning to move, but we don't know what will be the best route. Either to sell the house altogether, close that loan, and then get another loan, another VA. But then again, the interest rate are so high that probably we're gonna have to come and spend, a little bit extra just to have that, the same mortgage that we have now. Even if you run the numbers, it doesn't even out because believe it or not, the prices are high and the interest rates are high. So if we sell now, we're not gonna have the same interest rate, and we're gonna have to probably put down 200K or 250 just
What
to
about,
have a
so here's a thought, right? And so you guys can toy around with it, see if it makes sense. What if you guys, because you can't touch that equity unless you actually sell it, what if you do a
correct.
HELOC on that house? Touch a good amount of that equity, right? And then use that equity or the HELOC to basically use as your down. Well, you don't need a down payment. You would
Right.
have, well, and that's kind of interesting because you got to your VA anyway.
Hmm.
The VA has secondary entitlement. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
Okay, so I think you can use your VA for a second home also, but you will have to look at your zip code. You will have to look at, what the ceiling is for the VA. But
Right.
the idea that I was having is get a HELOC on the house that you're in right now so you can leverage that equity, right?
Hmm.
Then use your VA with the secondary entitlements for the next property, right?
Okay.
You use your VA that way you have no down payment again, no PMI, and then you rent the one that you have. So you still have the property, you still can touch the equity because you have an active HELOC, and then you rent that property and keep it, and then move to the other one.
Right. That's
Make sense?
Yeah, yeah, it does make sense. I mean, believe me, I've been working on this for the past couple months and try to run the numbers. And believe it or not, I don't want to. I mean, we're gonna have the money available no matter what because believe it or not, even if we put 300,000 down, we can get the same amount of mortgage that we pay now. Remember, back in 2011, the houses were just like of the, the prices were and the interest rate were really low. So now it's like, damn, should we make the move? Even if we do make the move, I think it's gonna be either or it's gonna work out. So let's see. But
Yeah,
thank you for the
yeah.
information.
No
Definitely.
problem. No problem. Like I hope that helps out. I think this is one of those things where you're gonna have to put the numbers on paper to see,
Mhm.
and like if you can actually rent the property that you're in right now, where it can make the payment for the HELOC already, and it still gives you a little bit of extra cash for that Swan account, I think
Mhm.
that's the best of both worlds because you have some money to leverage, you'll have the assets still, you have the
Right.
taxes from both of them, you still have principal pay down, and you got the rental. Like, I think if you can swing that and you still have the VA, that's probably the best case scenario to leverage everything.
Right. And believe it or not, if we do put the house for rent, we will be getting a return, amount will be 1,700.
See,
That's
yeah, I would go that route. I would definitely go that route.
uh,
Say, you're not going to get those kind of numbers everywhere.
yeah.
It's going to be difficult to do that. Like, I've even thought about this, right? If I were in
Mhm,
your situation, let's say if I were to sell the house, get the 300, what can I
mhm.
do with that 300? Let's say I can probably buy 2 or 3 doors. But with the interest rates that there are right now, you might make $400 each. So you
Mhm.
traded the $300,000 to get 3 properties and make $1,200 when you have that one property right now that can fetch you 17.
Exactly.
See what I'm saying? So it's like it's when
Right.
you
My husband is not into he's not into investment, investing at all. But my mind is just like when you play with the numbers, it's like doesn't make any sense. From
yeah,
2011, we purchased the property, and now in 2023, we have so much equity that we can multiply. But
yeah,
he doesn't yeah that way. He doesn't like take risk. I mean, he's a military man, so
yeah, invite them to the class.
and
I'm like,
I'm
look, I'm a military guy too, and I didn't realize this stuff. See, here's the thing: as long and I'm still kind of indoctrinized because I've been doing 9 to 5s almost my whole entire life. Right? I touched a little bit of entrepreneurship with being a government contractor, and I saw the benefits of that like significantly. And then now I'm actually more into the investment side because now I see that I'm working for myself and I can actually break through, the rat race. Otherwise, you're only working to make somebody else rich. You're never going to really achieve what you want out of life unless you build your own empire that way. Right. And that's the thing. You put that money to work for you and you're good. Like a lot of people, and here's one of the things that I am finally coming to my senses on. A lot of people feel like they don't want to go into debt. They want to pay off their house, and that's the goal, right? Pay off the house. That way you don't have to pay for anything. But that's really
Mhm.
not the goal, right? If you think about it, you can still pay the house, but you still have to pay property taxes. You still have to pay something, right? So the idea is you need cash flow. You need to buy things that keep on making money over all the time because then when you have cash flow, doesn't matter what you buy, as long as you have an asset that can pay for it. You can
Right.
go ahead and buy that Rolls Royce. If the payment's 2 grand or 3 grand or whatever, it doesn't matter as long as you have assets that can cover it, right? You have that $2 million house, and the payment can be $8,000, $10,000. It doesn't matter as long as you got the assets to cover it, right?
Right.
So if you have things and businesses and income and multiple streams of revenue that they're constantly paying for you, does it really matter if you pay things off? You still
No, no.
control the asset, right? The asset's still yours. You can sell it. You can do what you want from it. You can still will it. You put it in a trust. I'm like, it's still yours. You have insurance. Let somebody else pay for it. I'm like, it just makes sense. Like, don't pay anything off.
And in reality, I mean, come on, 30 years paying a home. I mean, come on.
Yeah,
As you're willing to really, hey, this is my dream home and I'm just gonna stay here for the next 30 years. But it never happens.
exactly.
Like
Exactly. We're that's an old school, I think, mentality from
right,
like the past generations because for us, there's always something new. We can't
right.
even commit to one car. How many people do you see that stay with one car for 30 years? You know,
No one.
Yeah, after like 3 or 4 years, there's something new, some new bells and whistles, some new technology that you want to try out. So if we're not conform with that, we're never going to be conform with houses either. You're going to see a new structure, a new neighborhood, some new features that our house has, some new amenities. You're going to be like, I want that.
Right.
So you can't commit to a 30 year.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess we in the process of probably purchasing, but I guess if you don't mind, I will probably call you or send you a text or so you
Yeah.
can probably give me some guidance. So I have to convince him that if we do leave this house as an investment, I think it will be the best thing to do. I mean, come on. I mean, he's already retired, law enforcement.
Okay.
At this time, I don't know what will be the best thing to do it. I mean, realistically, I have my full-time job at the same time. Either or, we're gonna have money coming in no matter what. I myself, I want to retire as well in
Yeah.
5 years. So I just want to be comfortable.
And I'm like, let's do it. That's the plan. I'm like, you have leverage right now. You just have to know how to apply it the best way possible. You know, and definitely show him that, for example, if you were to sell that home and you have the 300,000, excuse me, explain to him like if you put in the bank account, you're not really making money off of it. You know, like you can buy a mutual fund, a CD, or this, that, and the other, and maybe make 5%, but show him the rule of 72. So show him that you're going to put that money into it, depending on how much you're going to commit, how much money that's actually going to turn out to be. And hopefully the numbers will tell him the story of like, look, it's going to take us 20 years to make this much money. But then with the amount of like depreciation or the inflation rate that there is, we're losing buying power. So you gotta put that money to work, you know?
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I will look into that. Let's see how long that takes.
Okay, no worries.
Thanks a
I
million.
got my number in the chat, so feel free to call me, text me whenever you want, and that goes for anybody there. Just go ahead and copy that, and you know, we'll just continue talking. Rich, thank you for coming on. I know you kind of came in towards the end, buddy. I can share if you drop your email, I can share the presentation for you so you can get caught up on it, and kind of like what I talked about today. And Gabi, same thing with you. If you want to drop your email in there, I can share the presentations for you guys so you can see what we had talked about earlier today. Do you guys have any other questions? Carlos, thank you so much for your support, man. You're always showing up. Wheela as well. Everybody else for getting on the class. You know, I like sharing this kind of stuff, and let's work on this stuff together, guys.
Thanks, Will.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Will.
All right, guys. You definitely have a good weekend and enjoy your spring breaks.